Have you tried playing with other kids and all of a sudden you got hurt and in extreme pain? Like you were playing boxing and you were surprised by a hook on your left face. Turned pale and blue. That must be a big ouch. I remember one time in the school ground, we were playing volleyball. While happily tossing and smashing the ball, I felt an extreme pain on my leg. My friend said it was a muscle cramp. I can't forget that ouch. We rested for a while, and when the ouch was gone, we ran again to the grounds and played till the school bell rang. Pains and those big ouch we encountered while playing are something we can never forget. Oh well, for simple pains, it doesn't cause an alarm. But what if one of those injuries we just watched happen to us? Should we allow those big ouch happen to us? Are there ways to prevent injuries at play? Good day, everyone! This time, we are bringing to you some toolkits that we should not forget in time of play. Bakit nga ba natin hintaying masaktan kung may mga pamamaraan naman upang maiwasan ito? By the way, this is Angel, your host for today's episode. We have invited some experts to guide children and young people in preventing injury at play. Two professors from the University of the Philippines-College of Human Kinetics will run us through some warm-up activities that are truly fun and light. A professor from the Cagayan State University will discuss the importance of sports gears to prevent injury. But before we present them to you, let's relax and listen to another kwento about play and playground by Commissioner Celia Kiram.
Ang aking ibabahaging kwento sa inyo ngayon ay ang kasaysayan ng play o laro. Alam niyo ba na ang paglalaro ay naging mahalagang bahagi ng mga kultura sa buong mundo? Ang play o paglalaro ay nakakatulong sa pag-unlad ng tao at komunidad. Ito ay nakakatulong din sa pagpapalaki ng ating mga imahinasyon. Maliban dito, pinapanatili tayong masaya at malusog. Alam niyo ba na sa nakaraang siglo, ang mga disenyo ng palaruan o play environment ay malaki na rin ang pinagbago? Ang ilan sa mga ideya ng palaruan noong mid-century ay bumabalik at nakikita muli sa ating kasalukuyang kultura. Sa nakalipas na 75 years, ang mga palaruan ay kapansin-pansin ang mga pagbago. Noong 1940, si Carl Theodor Sorensen, isang Danish landscape architect, at si Hans Dragehelm, na isang guro sa paaralan, ang kauna-unahang gumawa ng adventure playground sa Denmark, batay sa obserbasyon ni Sorensen sa mga batang naglalaro sa mga junkyard. Alam niyo ba na isang nagngangalang Lady Allen ng Hertwood ang nag-imbento ng terminong adventure playground? Ito ay tumutukoy sa isang mas open-ended na estilo ng paglalaro, kung saan ang mga brick o piraso ng kahoy ay nasa paligid ng palaruan. Alam niyo ba na ang pakay nito ay upang palawakin ng mga bata ang kanilang imahinasyon sa pamagitan ng pagbuo ng mga kuta o forts at upang mag-enjoy sila sa mga kapana-panabik na paglalaro. Alam niyo ba na sina Architect Aldo Van Eyck at Isamu Noguchi ay nagdisenyo ng palaruan hango sa simpleng abstract form? Layunin nito na magbigay inspirasyon sa mga bata na gamitin ang kanilang imahinasyon. Ayon kay Noguchi, ang palaruan sa halip na sabihin sa bata kung ano ang gagawin, papaumakyat dito, umakyat doon, ay dapat isang lugar para sa endless exploration at endless opportunity for changing play. Sa mga sumunod na taon, nagkaroon ng unti-unting paglikha ng mga palaruan na halos walang panganib sa bata. Nakikita ito sa mga plastic playgrounds sa mga paaralan. Subalit sa kasalukuyan, unti-unti nating nakikita ang mga kontemporaryong disenyo ng palaruan na gumagamit ng natural designs at materials. Andiyan na rin ang ideya na sustainability at mga mura or repurpose na materyales. Nabibigyan diin na rin ang mga playground designs na mas inclusive at accessible sa nakakaraming mga bata. Diyan nagwawakas ang kwento tungkol sa laro at palaruan. Muli, ito ang inyong Commissioner Kiram na walang sawang maghahatid ng kwentong kababaihan, kwento para sa kaalaman at karunungan sa sport.
You may be dehydrated. You need Pocari Sweat. It replaces the electrolytes you've lost and helps you perform at your best. Be at your best with Pocari Sweat. Pocari Sweat.
While sports may cause injury to children when there's no proper guidance, we still believe that playing sport gives us a lot of benefits for our body and our brain. Let's watch this.
The victory of the underdog over the favored team, the last-minute penalty shot that wins the tournament, the high-energy training montages. Many people love to glorify victory on the playing field, cheer for favorite teams, and play sports. But here's a question. Should we be so obsessed with sports? Is playing sports actually as good for us as we make it out to be, or just a fun and entertaining pastime? What does science have to say? First of all, it's well accepted that exercise is good for our bodies and minds, and that's definitely true. Exercising, especially when we're young, has all sorts of health benefits, like strengthening our bones, clearing out bad cholesterol from our arteries, and decreasing the risk of stroke, high blood pressure, and diabetes. Our brains also release a number of chemicals when we work out, including endorphins. These natural hormones, which control pain and pleasure responses in the central nervous system, can lead to feelings of euphoria, or what's often called a runner's high. Increased endorphins and consistent physical activity in general can sharpen your focus and improve your mood and memory. So does that mean we'd get just as much benefit going to the gym 5 days a week as we would joining a team and competing? Well, here's where it gets interesting. Because it turns out that if you can find a sport and a team you like, studies show that there are all sorts of benefits that go beyond the physical and mental benefits of exercise alone. Some of the most significant are psychological benefits, both in the short and long term. Some of those come from the communal experience of being on a team. For instance, learning to trust and depend on others, to accept help, to give help, and to work together towards a common goal. In addition, commitment to a team and doing something fun can also make it easier to establish a regular habit of exercise. School sport participation has also been shown to reduce the risk of suffering from depression for up to 4 years. Meanwhile, your self-esteem and confidence can get a big boost. There are a few reasons for that. One is found in training. Just by working at skills, especially with a good coach, you reinforce a growth mindset within yourself. That's when you say, even if I can't do something today, I can improve myself through practice and achieve it eventually. That mindset is useful in all walks of life. And then there's learning through failure, one of the most transformative long-term benefits of playing sports. The experience of coming to terms with defeat can build the resilience and self-awareness necessary to manage academic, social, and physical hurdles. So even if your team isn't winning all the time, or at all, there is a real benefit to your experience. Now, not everyone will enjoy every sport. Perhaps one team is too competitive, or not competitive enough. It can also take time to find the sport that plays to your strengths. That's completely okay, but if you spend some time looking, you'll be able to find a sport that fits your individual needs. And if you do, there are so many benefits. You'll be a part of a supportive community. You'll be building your confidence. You'll be exercising your body, and you'll be nurturing your mind. Not to mention having fun.
So we children and young people cannot avoid playing, as play is a significant part of our day-to-day life. But we need to be careful. We should avoid getting hurt at play. So what should we do to avoid injury when playing sports? We have invited Professor Emman Papa of the UP College of Human Kinetics to give us a demo on warming up our bodies before we get into play or sporting activities. He is joined by another professor of the UP College of Human Kinetics and former UP athlete Michaela Angela Sales. Professor Emman was a former strength and conditioning coach of the UP women's volleyball team. He also used to serve as a strength and conditioning coach of the Magnolia Hotshots, the Moro Lorenzo Sports Medicine Unit, the Focus Athletics team, the Pacific Pipes, and the San Miguel Beermen. He was also the head coach of the UP women's basketball team and the Poveda High School basketball team. Be ready with your comfortable get-up and let's follow every step of this demo.
In Australia, the only thing we love more than watching sports is playing sport. But as any parent knows, wherever there's running and other physical activity, there's also the potential for injury. That's why we're here to coach you on ways to prevent and treat injuries, plus recognising certain conditions. And to get you warmed up, let's start with an easy one, warm-ups. At the start of any training or game, it's important to warm up by jogging and stretching. Likewise, it's important to cool down too. It's no secret that kids grow fast, and the difference 1 year can make is huge. That's why you need to make sure your child is enrolled in sport that's appropriate for their age and skill level.
I-discuss po natin o ipapaliwanag natin ang importansya ng warm-up, lalong-lalo na po sa mga hindi atleta at sa mga bata na gustong maglaro or mag-participate sa iba't ibang activity or aktibidades. Ang warm-up po ay napakahalaga. Hindi lang po ito yung sinasabi nating pampataas ng temperatura or para mapawisan, kundi para maging preparado or ready ang isang bata, ang isang atleta sa activity na kanyang gagawin. Lalong-lalo na po kung napakabigat ng isang sport or ng isang game, isang activity. Kailangan po yung warm-up ay naaayon dun sa kanyang gagawin. Okay? At kailangan, tinatawag po natin itong engaged. Dapat engaging ang warm-up para magising ang isang tao, ang isang atleta, ang mga bata, grupo ng atleta dahil maaari po itong makatulong sa pagpapabawas ng risk ng injury. Napakahalaga po yun. Dahil kung preparado, gising ang isang manlalaro, ang isang atleta, ang isang bata, mas madali niyang magagawa o magagampanan yung kanyang ensayo o ang kanyang mga activity. Okay, ngayon naman po, ipapakita namin ng aking makakasamang si Coach Mika ang ilang mga routine at mga pwedeng gawin sa isang effective or masaya na warm-up. Dahil, ayun nga, nabanggit na natin po kanina na maliban sa pagiging effective ng isang warm-up, kailangan po itong maging engaging or masaya. Yung buong atensyon ay naandun sa ginagawa para maging handa para dun sa main activity or main sport. Ngayon ay makakasama natin si Coach Mika. Okay. Dati po siyang membro ng UP Pep Squad. Ngayon din po ay nagtuturo siya sa UP College of Human Kinetics. Makakasama natin siya sa pagbibigay ng tips or ng struktura sa mga warm-ups na maaari nating gawin na maging effective at sabi nga natin kanina maging engaging. So tutulungan po tayo ni Coach Mika. Coach, salamat.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, ang una po nating gagawin ay tinatawag nating bear series or bear crawl. Para po itong mga normal na planks natin, pero animal movements po ang focus. Pwede po siyang stationary muna, on horse, kamay, at nakalapag yung tuhod. Okay? Stationary po muna tayo. Iaangat ni Coach Mika ang kanyang kaliwang kamay. Hold. And then babalik po niya. Kanang kamay naman po. Yan. Pwede po yan gawin for 3 to 5 repetitions per arm. Habang yung likod ko po na stable. Okay? Or flat. Ganun po siya. Yan. Salamat, Coach Mika. And then after this, paa naman po. Okay? Paa naman. Same position on all fours. And then parang sisipa lang po kayo ng mabagal. Yan. Kung hindi naman po kaya, pwede nyo agad ilapag ang inyong paa sa sahig. Lalo walang balanse. Ang importante po, ma-challenge po ang ating buong core. Ang likod, ang hips, ang shoulders. Yan. Pwede rin po itong 3 to 5 repetitions. Salamat, Coach. Pagkatapos ng stationary, gagalaw naman po tayo ng konti. Ito na po yung tinatawag na crawl. So kung kaya po natin, opposite hand, opposite foot ang gagalaw. So kung si Coach Mika, sisimulan niya ng kanyang kaliwang kamay, dapat ng kasabay. Okay? Coach, pakita natin. Yon, diba? Push it. Thank you. Na kung hindi naman po kaya, pwede namang sabay. Basta importante po ay, again, nasa-challenge ang ating buong katawan. Core. Ang pangatlo po sa ating bear crawl series or bear series ay ang crawling sideways. Kanina po si Coach Mika, nag-crawl po siya paharap. Ngayon naman po, sideways. Okay, same starting position, Coach. Okay, on all fours. Pareho pa rin po. Subukan natin na kung ang kanang kamay ni Coach Mika ang gagalaw, dapat kaliwang paa niya yung susunod, sasabay. Okay, Coach, pakita natin. And go. Yan po ang ganyang ideal na movement. Kung nahihirapan po, pwede naman pong sabay. Okay, papakita po ulit ni Coach Mika, pabalik. Kanya sideways. Yan. Nakikita nyo, opposite hand, opposite foot yung gumagalaw. At sinusubukan niya po ng maigi na flat ang kanyang likod. O hindi po masyadong nagtitilt. Yan po matcha-challenge ang ating core. Stability phase ng warm-up. Okay, ngayon naman po, mas gagalaw na po tayo. Okay, pwede po tayo set up ng mga tools bilang depende po sa laki ng lugar. Hindi po malakas ang bagsak ng paa. Yan po. Okay, Coach? Pabalik po, pwedeng back. ay ang tinatawag nating tiptoe and reach. Yakapin lang po ni Coach Mika ang kanyang tuhod papunta sa chest o sa dibdib. Para meron po tayong stretch din po ng glutes. Okay? Habang naglalakad, gagawin po ni Coach Mika ay alternating knee hugs. Yan. So nakikita po natin habang niyayak ni Coach Mika ang kanyang tuhod, trying her best na diretso pa rin or upright ang kanyang katawan. Ng 1 hanggang 2 segundo ang stretch. 1,001, 1,002. Basically, it's a balancing exercise or a balancing warm-up. So, susubukan po ni Coach Mika na mag-balance sa isang leg habang yumuyuko. Habang nakataas ang dalawang kamay para magmukha pong superhero, sabi nga. Yan. So, lalakad po si Coach. Then, pwede po nating i-bend ng tuhod slightly para naman po mas may counterbalance. Again, kung kaya po ng ginagawa ni Coach Mika, i-hold po natin ang position at least 1 second or 1 to 2 seconds. ng taekwondo kick or sipa paharap. Pwede po natin huwag din po natin mamadaliin dahil para din po ito sa ating hamstrings, sa lower back, glutes. Okay? Gagawin lang po ni Coach Mika, susubukan niyang abutin ang kanyang paa. Habang naglalakad. Yan. Lakad. Sinama rin po niya yung ginawa niya kung paano siya nag-warm up pa-forward or paharap. Bilisan po natin ng konti ating movements. Ito po yung tinatawag nating skips or pakicorrect po ako ng direct Tagalog. Gagawin lang po natin, i-base natin sa counting. So, right po, tangyaan natin Coach Mika. Once you step down, 1, 2, 1, 2. Ganun po ang magiging counting niya. 2, so kung bibilisan po natin, ito po magiging itsura niya. Okay, by 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Sige, Coach. Nandito na po tayo sa parte ng warm-up na pwede po natin mas i-intensify na or mas mataas ang intensity para mas pawisan na at para mas magising na. Gawin ko ka tawag na rapid response. Again, maraming variation po ito. Hindi po natin simulan sa itong paraan. On a defensive stance, okay, wide base po yung paa. Kung makikita ninyo yung paa ni Coach Mika ay halos kapantay na kanya or kasilapan ng kanyang balikat. Okay. On my first count or sa unang signal, gagawa muna siya ng slow feet and then slow arms. Right? To swing the shoulder. On the second count, bibilis po yung paa niya pero mabagal pa rin po yung kamay. Pampasaya na din po for coordination. Yan. On the second go, gagawa po siya ng pounding exercise. Third go, sorry. And go. 1 and 2. rapid response na tinatawag. Okay? Ay ang hip bounce. Again, pwede po kayong gumawa sa sarili termino. So, again, si Coach Mika, it's time in defensive stance. Okay? Wide base po siya. Yung tuhod po niya hindi magkadikit. Okay? On the first go, magbabounce lang po ang kanyang paa or toes gamit ang hips. Slow bounce. On the second go, bibilis po siya. On the third go, long jump.
Maraming salamat po sa napakasimple at masayang warm-up exercises na hatid nyo sa ating mga viewers. Siya nga pala, maraming salamat kay Dean Kiko Diaz ng UP College of Human Kinetics sa walang sawang suporta sa PSC Women in Sports. Mga nanay at tatay, sana sanayin natin ang ating mga anak na mag-warm up ng tamang paraan bago sila sumabak sa laro para walang aray na mangyayari. Now, let's listen to Professor Darwin Robin Tuliao for another important reminder so we can further prevent injury in sports.
Assistant Professor Robin Darwin Tuliao from the College of Human Kinetics in Cagayan State University. Professor Darwin used to serve as Program Coordinator for the Graduate School in Physical Education at the Taipei American School in Taiwan. He finished a master's degree of Sports Coaching Science in the Chinese Culture University of Taiwan. He's a certified group suspension training specialist, a certified sport tape kinesiology, taping practitioner, a licensed professional teacher, and an accredited International Amateur Athletics Federation Level 1 National Technical Official and Coach for Athletics. Let's welcome a multi-medalist, Cagayanon in athletics, both local and international.
Depending on your sport equipment, helmets, mouthguards, padding and proper footwear can prevent or reduce injuries. And while you're at it, remember to protect them from the sun as well. Unfortunately, it's not just people who like to come and watch sport. This guy does too. And when the sun's out, there's an increased risk of dehydration and heat-related illnesses, especially in sport where exposure is prolonged, like cricket and long-distance running. Cool water is the best choice for children to stay hydrated. High-calorie sport drinks are generally unnecessary for most children participating in sport, and energy drinks with caffeine should be avoided at all times.
For today's session, I was assigned to give essential information in preventing sports injuries by wearing protective gears. So, because of the nature of sports activity, injuries often occur. So this can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. So one of the main responsibilities of the coach is to try to minimize the likelihood of injury. So many sports require protection of various parts of the athlete's body. This may depend on different sports like basketball, volleyball, football, taekwondo, baseball, and arnis. Thus, it is essential that the coach have some knowledge about the types of protective equipment available for particular sports because there is specific particularly for sports. So for this topic in protective gears, I'll be giving you 3 important factors to bear in mind. Okay, and these are specific to sports. Protective gear should be properly fit and well maintained. And lastly, of course, the safety standards underlying protective gears. So first is specific for sports. So always consider in choosing the protective gear, use equipment only for the purpose for which it was designed. So never use any protective gear that is not suited for a particular sports. For example, in the pictures provided in your screen, there is a specialized helmet specifically for bike, baseball, and taekwondo. Okay, so most especially for direct collision sports such as football. Okay, so it is essential to wear a specific protective gear to prevent or lessen the impact of sports-related injuries in this particular game. So the use of the correct helmet, for example, during any activity, either when we do it in practice, when we perform sports activity in practice, or competing, okay, this can make a difference between serious injury or free from it. So take note that protective gear should be specific for every sports. Second, protective gear should be properly fit and well maintained. So properly fit meaning should be individualized. Doesn't mean yung one size fits all idea. Okay? So the protective gear should properly fit around all the parts of the players. For example, in the picture of harness, from head up to their legs. Okay? No gaps between the pads or face, allowing complete field of vision as they perform their sports technique or sports activity. So not to the extent of feeling discomfort on the part of the athletes, because sometimes of protective gears that is not fit for an individual, this may also result to injury. Okay, and also protective gear should properly maintain, okay, in best condition as much as possible, in best condition. Keep it in a safe stored room, and coaches, athletes should routinely inspect the gears used in sports if they are still in best condition or no defects. Take note that even high quality protective gears, okay, are of no use if not properly fitted or maintained adequately. So coaches and athletes take note that no defective equipment to prevent sports related injuries. And of course, the safety standards. Okay, this is very serious concern or very important to consider in choosing or buying protective gears for your particular sports. So there is a serious concern about the safety standard for protective sports equipment. This particularly about the material durability, equipment testing method, because before it goes to the market, this should be properly tested, okay, for the intended purpose, particularly to prevent injuries. And another one is there are some requirements for wearing protective equipment. So this may depend on, for example, on the sports being played, on the height, or even the strength of the athlete. This may depend on what particular protective gear to be used. So We don't want our athletes to just provide them the protective gears with low quality or substandards that leads to sports injuries. This happens sometimes for different athletes. Sometimes they're wearing some substandards that their skills or even their performance suffers, most especially dun sa mga competition. That is why it is important that we should look into the quality, okay, should be past the safety standard and even the quality of the protective gears that we are buying from different manufacturers. Although many of the schools, universities, or even the National Sports Association is already addressing these issues or concerns, because way back, okay, there are some low substandards that is being delivered to NSAs or even our athletes. That is why it is essential to choose from reputable manufacturers in buying protective gears to properly secure the safety of our athletes. Okay. With that information that we gather from this topic, I hope this will help us to prevent sports-related injuries and stay in our best shape as we play our respective sports or events. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Tuliao, for those valuable information and reminders to avoid that big edge at play. Maraming salamat sa ating mga very supportive na guests sa episode na ito. Naway nagbigay ng mahalagang aral at guidance sa mga bata, kabataan, magulang at mga guro upang maiwas ng aray habang nasa playground. Saya at tawa ang dapat manais kapag naglalaro, hindi aray. Time is up for this week's Rise Up Shape Up episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube and follow us on our Facebook account. Thank you everyone for your support. Rise Up Shape Up is brought to you by Philippine Sports Commission, Women in Sports. Again, this is your host, Angel. Have a marvelous day, everyone.